trying to do a stream here.
Hello.
Hello TF2 community. You're watching Team Fortress TV. Joining me, CommanderX, and Ali. I'm also going to be the cameraman, so you're joining me twice. One-man show.
I think I've completely frozen on your screen, by the way.
Yeah. Do you wanna? Should we
That's
redo the
unfortunate.
call? Cause you're kind of just like,
It's like such a glum expression as well.
yeah, you don't look very excited for TFT. If you'd made you
Yeah.
frozen in, like a properly excitable pose.
I think
Okay.
it's my. I made one as soon as you started talking, and I just, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end the call. I'm gonna try again. Sorry for the technical hitches. Let's see if we can get a better Ali. Okay, the video call's going. Anything, Ali? You need to enable video, Ali. Sorry for this. We're having a bit of a Skype lesson right now with Ali, a live tutorial.
Clicking the button, but nothing's happening. Just look at me sat on a branch in the snow.
I've got an advert now as well. I'm accidentally advertising Nokia Lumia.
That's good.
I'm gonna disable that until that fixes itself. So it's just me on camera, So that's right. It's me doing everything. So you might as well pretend Ali's not even here. We'll try and get that working in the background. We're here for the ETF2L semi-final. Should we talk about a bit of CF2, Ali?
I think that'd be probably a
The
good
whole
idea.
reason, or before we just do like a impromptu podcast. The video call one more time. Sorry for the annoying noise on my stream. Skype's really rubbish. So yeah, we're here for the semi-final. It's going to be Fenneks versus Epsilon. We don't know where the maps are going to be.
I think the first one's definitely Badlands.
Definitely Badlands. That's what I've been told. But Epsilon are playing their cards very close to their chest. I'm gonna give up on this, Cam Ali. I'm gonna close Skype.
Well, I just got it working.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not working my end.
That's
Never
a
mind.
shame.
Let's talk about TF2. Let's talk about
We put so much time into that.
TF2.
Go for it. Go for it at the halfway stage, yeah.
The halfway stage when some
Oh,
action's happening.
sweet.
Your mic's echoing a mumble. I don't know why.
That's because I'm not muted on Skype. There we go. Anyway, yeah, so Mike and Skeej are both, as you'd expect, playing their cards close to their chest with the whole non-elimination. You just pick
Yeah.
straight maps now. But I think the first is going to be Badlands, I think Mike said. So
I heard something
That's
about
good.
Epsilon were toying with the idea of process as well. So, but I imagine Badlands is.
well, they're currently playing AWS on Process with their warm-up scrim, and 20 minutes in it was 1-1. So looks like they're doing quite well.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where they go with it. Firstly, before we get into the thick of it, I want to talk about some changes, basically, that are happening for either team, because both teams are without players. We'll start with the most simple one. Okay, I do have some stat screens prepared, but the whole while I've been trying to set this up, they've been somewhat inconsistent with their ability to work. So we're going to have to just cross our fingers here, chat, and hope they come out working. The first one I'm going to try and go to is Salmon versus Zoob. And hopefully it looks as wicked on your end as it does on mine, because it looks perfect on mine right now for Salmon versus Zoob. Salmon is the main soldier for Fenix now. Zoob was merely standing in for the last playoff, the one they won against GG. Well played. Sort of, that was a bit of an upset for them. So looking, Ali, tell me what you see on this first set of stats. Do you have it up?
Yeah, so what I see is Zoob is just wrecking Salmon stats all over the shop. I mean, he's pretty high up the rankings for kills per death, kill assists, average kills, everything. Air shot's the same though, can't take that away from Salmon. But I mean, I think Admirable and Kratos was saying it last week when Zoob was working in their first playoff against the Russians that Zoob was just playing insanely well. And yeah, I think he was a step up for them in that respect. But I mean, in the long run, in terms of the situations where you really require that team synergy that comes from playing after a while, Salmon might have its advantages, but we'll see, I guess.
I guess it's another thing is they both play the pocket role quite differently as well. Zoob is very much your kind of traditional Finnish pocket, whereas Salmon's a little bit more roamy. Like he's a main roamer.
He dabbles.
Yeah, he dabbles. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it works out. Ali, I'm going to swap to the next stat while I need to fix something on the stream. The next one I'm going to look at is another change on the Fenix side. We're going to fix that. It's going to be Kalari versus is not playing. So QNX is coming in on Roma. So no stats should be on stream now if you want to talk about Amali.
Big update. Upgrade even. Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of QNX personally. QNX has probably got the stronger deathmatch in my opinion, and just trying to find the log. Yeah, so here it is. So Killari, yeah, is renowned for his 1v1 trades, maybe relying more on his timing as a soldier, listening to calls than deathmatch, whereas QNX is just a beast, really. I mean, he's played a lot of pocket as well as soldier, and I think when gunboats were out, I think he was playing with solar at the time in Prem. He was roaming with shotgun and everything, because he can just jump in and meat shot 3 people. But no, I think it's going to be a different. They're going to have a much different roamer style. QNX puts out, I'd say, typically more damage, and Killari just makes trades and makes bombs relying on timing. But QNX is kind of smarter in terms of an overall soldier. I think he used to play with Solar with Hicks on his pocket, and I talked to Hicks a long time ago. I remember the conversation, and Hicks was saying that when he played pocket with QNX as his roamer, QNX had the kind of intuition that whenever Hicks died, he'd jump straight to his medic, and knew the way the game worked, as opposed to knowing just the role of a typical roamer to work the flank, get good damage, jump in when necessary. I think overall beneficial to have QNX.
I agree to a certain extent. I don't think QNX is maybe as good as you say. I still think he misses a lot of things, like sometimes he's just not as effective as a lot of the other roamers he's going to be up against here. But on the other hand, I think Killari was straight up out of his depth in any of these playoff games. Killari would, like, in the playoffs, Killari's hand down's the worst player playing. So, well, he's not playing now. So, but I don't think so. I think QNX is an upgrade. I don't think he's going to have much of an impact on the game, but it'll be better.
Yeah, definitely. And while we're on the subject of roamers and flanks, got the scout stats there as well, which I've been browsing through, not expecting you to keep up. But I mean, the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb is Kyler. And the other scouts are varying rankings. You see the rankings on the soldier ones that are on stream right now. You have the kills per death, kill assist per death, and damage per minute, and they've got rankings next to them, which is in terms of all the other Premiership soldiers. And then the same applies for scouts. And most of the things are a bit haphazardly spread around. But if you flick to the Kyler versus GF18 one, if you want to, or I'll just tell you what it says, then
GF18, I'm having a few GF18 is.
Sure. Well, GF18 is coming in a stellar sort of like 6th position, kills per death and kill assist per death, and 10th for damage per minute. And you're just like, well, he's had an insane sort of playing in Prem with a lesser skilled team than he could play with. But then you look at Kyler, who's first in terms of kills per death and first in terms of damage per minute, and you just say, well, he's just going to completely destroy the other scouts. I mean, Bash and Walters are both languishing somewhere in the middle, and you could say something that for both of them, they can both have better games and worse games. But I mean, Kyler's pretty consistent, and like when he plays really well, then it's just insane.
Yeah, the scout ones won't work. Everything else will work, so I'm going to jump away from scouts. The scouts will not be a factor in this game. The scouts won't have any effect. So hopefully the team page will work. Here we go. So these are the overall stats. These are the Fenneks stats, so obviously they seem to be pretty good all around, really. On here you can actually see the scout stats, so I'll use NIS for the scout stats. There we go. There's using my head. There's thinking on the spot. So yeah, so GF18 and Walters. Walters obviously historically, used to play in Epsilon. He tends to be a very hit and miss player. Because depending on what day of the week it is, a different Walters shows up. So he'll need to have a good day today, basically, really, to help them overcome Epsilon. But really, what you can see from both GF18 and Walters is not particularly high KD, not particularly high sort of DPM really either. They're not really they're more of a cleanup rather than the playmakers. So we're obviously slightly different there from the other scouts. Bash likes to get maybe a little bit more involved. But GF18 I think is the key here. If Rib, Salmon, QNX can set up for plays, GF18 will be all over the cleanup. I think that's going to be the key to Fenix getting anything done in this game.
Yeah, I mean, in previous times, I think Ski just played well in terms of Zubas, and I don't think it's definitely not the kind of game where you could rely on GF cleaning up. Whereas in some matches before, I mean, if Walters hits his shot and GF's there with him, then they can take out 4 players of a team in seconds. I don't think it's that kind of game anymore, especially with the DM ability that Epsilon have. I think it's going to come a lot from them gaining small player advantages in the Rubas and then being able to play together to pick off Epsilon. Because I mean, sure, they've got ability, GF18 and Walters, but I mean, compared to Epsilon, it's hard to pick a player in Epsilon that you would swap for their opposite number in Fenneks.
Yeah. Before we talk more about Epsilon, I think there's one more comparison to do because Tech's PC has broken, is out of action, so they've brought in Forsaken, the
Yep.
pocket from GG Well Played, who lost to Fenix in the previous game, so a little bit of chance for a bit of revenge for him, really. The graphs aren't working on this one, but the main stats are there. Again, these stats are a little bit warped, just because Tech's basically played Roma all season and Forsaken's played Pocket all season, so they're playing very different roles, even though they're having the same stats compared. So that's why you'll see Forsaken's damage is much bigger, his average kills is bigger as well. Everything like that. Like his KD's higher, sort of all that stuff. So it's a little bit hard to compare, but Forsaken's shown what he can do in other teams as Roma. I think he was like when he was in what was it, Last Man Standing was it? I think he was genuinely one of the best Romas playing at the time, and hopefully he can make a bit of a show of it today, going back to his sort of original Roma role for Epsilon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've had Tech playing all this time, so it's going to be hard for him to slip in. But I mean, in terms of DM, he's set up in the best possible way to be able to settle into the team. I mean, if he gets put in a tough situation, he's going to be able to fight his way out of it if he needs to. But I'm not sure. I mean, in terms of having a sub, I think having the sub on Roma is probably the best thing you could actually do. And that's what both these teams have done, actually. We've both got Kalari and Tech standing out for opposite numbers. So the Roma's going to be interesting. Could be full of awful plays, could be full of brilliant ingenuity. For your sake, CX, I think players are now joining the server. So if you want to join up to the relay.
Maybe someone should send me the relay. I just want to throw that out
it's
there.
in Mumble.
Maybe give your host VIP. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to bring up the medic stats, Ali. Talk to me about medics.
Okay. So, as proclaimed medics ourselves, well, medics, maybe not proclaimed.
The two most impressive mid-table medics in the world.
Yeah, well, well, I think both Nox and Siege, are confident. Neither of them is going to flop. You could say you've definitely seen both of them drop Ubers throughout the season, maybe not as consistent, but then again, maybe less than Merlin. Skee's renowned for his surfs and trying to make big plays when he should probably just suicide. Nox more so for his positioning and then maybe being out already instead of getting stuck in. But I mean, I've always admired Skeej in his management of Ubers, and well, Nox has just been doing it for so long that it's going to be really interesting to see whether both medics know when they've got advantage over the others and be able to act on it. In terms of the stats, Skeej is actually outshining Nox pretty well in terms of average healing of 8k more, which is quite ridiculous if you think about, 25k healing.
I think that's the difference is Epsilon 5-0 their games and Skeej doesn't. So Skeej on average puts up bigger numbers.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things where maps aren't won quickly by heals.
Skeej is playing golden caps. Nox has already gone home, taken a bath, and gone to bed by the time the Fenix games are
Precisely,
over.
Yeah. I mean, it also Skeej has almost got just over 3 times as many Ubers this season than Nox.
That just kind of shows it. It's interesting so far in that Nox has had 59 Ubers so far in this season that he's played, and not one of them has been a crits. That's just interesting to me. I don't know if they'll feel like they need to bring out the crits. I think Fenix will be a lot more prone to crits. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think one of the most interesting things that could really help swing it in Fenix's favour, but you said before how you wouldn't swap out any Epsilon player for any of the Fenix players.
Yeah.
I want to go to the Demoman because I believe Rib against War, I'd rather have Rib.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, War is a DM beast in terms of, I think in the short term he could fit into a team that based around its soldier a lot better in terms of he can play really well independently. That being said, with respect to Mike, who's probably the best soldier in the world at the moment, whereas Rib is, well, he's just Rib, really. He's been around for ages, an incredibly good demo man, but tactically, game sense, lots of factors. I might actually agree with you there that Rib has the advantage.
Yeah, I think if you take into account that War is still settling into um, the Epsilon team as well to a large degree, so he's been in and out of it in the season, with various roster changes. I think he's still settling in, whereas Rib feels comfortable with what he's doing. Rib's happy. You'll see it here, like War's average deaths is lower, Rib's is higher, but Rib's also putting out more kills, and that's because Rib's just happy to go in and trade his life if if he knows he can get the damage out.
I think War's been in so many teams that he's just got to the situation where he might not make those kind of plays, but either way, he still outputs insane amount of damages. I mean, looking at your graph, see how maxed out those first few games are. I mean, he's chucking out over 500 damage per minute, which, I mean, they might have been like wiped in less than 30 minutes, but if they're not, then he is hitting up to sort of 14, 15k damage. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I think it really depends if I think Rib can put War out of his comfort zone. Rib will be faster to mid. He will be faster to mid on Badlands. I feel like the majority of the time, and I really think War could find himself a little bit. Don't know what. It's just I don't know. I just see a possibility for a mix up basically.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's go over pockets, which no discredit to Salmon, but it's a very one-sided affair. Mike's the best player in Europe, probably the best soldier in the world, and Salmon's pretty good. It's not. I really like Salmon as a player.
By saying really.
I really like Salmon as a player, but obviously, everyone knows who Mike is. Everyone knows what Mike is capable of. He plays at the heart of the team now. He's back on pocket, and I think that's just. Yeah, I think that's going to be really tough. And Mike's going to be a big part of stopping the Fenneks aggression.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Ski, who's the main caller, is going to know this, really. I mean, if he's going to be aware that if they're taking in a single Uber versus Uber, once they're out, that he's going to be at a disadvantage. Like, he can adapt positioning, sure, but I mean, if you just restricted it to an even ground, then it would definitely swing in Epsilon's favour.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just how much they allow Mike to do, because I don't think necessarily focusing down Mike is the right call, but if you kill enough players around him, Mike can only do so much by himself on the soldier class. There's only so much he can do. It's certainly going to be a big kind of uphill struggle for the Fenneks really to deal with Mike. Everyone knows what Mike's capable of. So let's move on to maybe a bit of a more even footing. These are the two subs we talked about coming in for either team: Forsaken for Epsilon, QNX for Fenneks. These stats look pretty even. Again, we have to take into account Forsaken's played Pocket all season, so his damage is going to be higher. QNX has played Roma for Rocket, so the stats are a little bit warped here. But overall, pretty even, really.
Yep. I mean, the good thing about these being playoffs as well is that we've seen how these teams have fared up against each other in the season. And that's 6-0 straight to Epsilon. Close 5-3 on this, I think it was. And then a 3-0 straight win to Epsilon and Viaduct. So that could turn out to be their pick for their other map. The way this is going to work, of course, since Epsilon finished second in the table and Fenix finished third or fourth, I can't remember, but they won their match to get here. Epsilon have to pick up the first map. And then when a team loses a map, then they can pick the next one. So this is going to be Badlands. This is Epsilon's first pick. And then both teams are going to have a map in their back pocket, which they're going to go to when they lose, which they've not told us. I mean, you can see why tactically. I mean, if I said, "Oh, Epsilon are going to pick Process and Fenix are going to pick Snakewater," then Fenix might be like, "Oh, we're not so bad on that. We're not so bad on their map. We can pick something else then." Or if they both intend to pick the same map. But so for now, it's a mystery. We just know that this is going to be Badlands, which is always good to see. I think Badlands is probably the most played map, so it comes down less to who played what.
Yeah, it's the most played map. I think most of them are on the server now, so I'm going to swap the cam over to...
Yeah, waiting on two people.
I think that's right.
Actually,